Previously on The Sims 4 Big Brother.
Level 6 of this Big Brother game introduced the double eviction week, where we saw 2 weeks of Big Brother take place in one. And we got the first half started by seeing Nox nominate Dina and Kaori. But in a vote, we saw that Dina received the most votes, even if one of those votes were wrong. Why I keep getting Mark votes wrong, I'm not quite sure. But inevitably, we saw Dina leave the house and be the first person out on this double eviction. But not before sharing a last kiss with her girlfriend, Rashida. And even though Dina was evicted from the house, we still have to evict someone else this week. So immediately our house guests headed into the backyard to compete in the Trim the Week HOH competition, where all of them had to trim their bush. In the competition, Kaori ended up winning her second HOH of the season and immediately had to go and nominate 2 people. She decided to nominate Nox and Johnny. Will either of them win the power of veto and save themselves, or will one of them be going home tonight? Find out on Sims 4 Big Brother! Hi all my beanie weenies, and welcome back to another episode of The Sims 4 Big Brother US Season 2. And we are continuing on with the double eviction week, which means we are heading straight into the power of veto competition. Now in the last episode, we saw Kaori win HOH and nominate Nox and Johnny. They also all chose players to participate in this power of veto competition, and now that we are out here, it's time to begin. Welcome to the Cut the Fat competition. The rules are all pretty simple. You're all divided up into 3 teams, and you're going to cook a meal and then eat all of it. The first one to finish will win the power of veto. Everyone has already begun to grill it up, and of course, immediately Akira starts a fire. Ugh. Okay, so everything is burning, and it seems as all of our other house guests have now become aware of the fire as well. And thankfully we still have that pool, so even though it is a lot farther of a run for Kaori, he does manage to run all the way into the garden to put himself out. Meanwhile, me, myself, and I, Sims Hot Dogs, come to save the day and put out the fire. However, because these 2 grills are now burnt, that means they can no longer participate in this competition, which now means Akira and Johnny are out of the competition. Wow, that was pretty fast. Now that everyone is scattered around the building, most of them are now running outside, which I always like to give you the opportunity to see actually what the lot looks like, but we're going to try to get them all to come back in, and now we see that Nox and Vanessa, Team Yellow, are the first ones back to continue working, so I have a feeling that this will put them in the lead, as they are, their head is in the game. They're not afraid of the fire, they're ready to get it going. We see that Nox has finished up his meal first, and he has finally begun eating. Now, I think it's about 6 or 8 plates per meal, and when it came to the meal decision, it was completely random. So some meals take a little bit longer to cook. We see when it comes to Kaori and Rashida has a whole pot that she was boiling, while Kaori actually has some chicken breast on the stove. So everyone is kind of eating different stuff. Now, if someone is to eat someone else's meal, that does not count towards them. It counts to whoever cooked that meal. Does that make any sense? We see that Vanessa and Rashida have finished cooking. Kaori is still the only one cooking back there while everyone else has begun eating. And I do let myself hang out for the time being just in case another fire breaks out. And a little bit of company doesn't hurt anyone. I feel like everyone in the house really loves Sims hot dogs, surprisingly, even though they hang out with me so little. It's weird. I have higher relationships with some of them than they do with their own housemates. I don't really know what that's about. But we see that Kaori has finished cooking her meal, and now everyone is done and everyone has moved on to the eating phase. It seems as though Nox and Vanessa are starting their second dish. However, they do also have to clean the dishes as well. We see that Vanessa has actually picked up everyone's dishes and is now heads over to clean those off. So Rashida doesn't even have to bother with cleaning hers. Instead, she can move right on over to plate number 2, which puts Vanessa a little bit behind. We'll have to see if she keeps cleaning everyone else's plates or if from now on she sticks to her own. If she wants to clean everyone else's, I think the only thing that's going to do is guarantee her losing the competition. We see Nox and Kaori have finished eating and they're both heading over to wash their own plates while Vanessa and Rashida enjoy their second dish. And Nox and Rashida have enjoyed their second one and are moving on to their third. However, Rashida doesn't have to clean her plate once again. This time, another member of the yellow team, Nox, has picked up her plate and is cleaning it for her, leaving Rashida to take the lead and start her third bowl. Now, the more and more they eat, the more difficult this will be. There isn't any real bathrooms out here, and they're going to be forced to eat no matter how full they are. So who knows, maybe we'll see some of our house guests get a little sick, and we're definitely going to see them either pee themselves, poop themselves. There is one bush that they're able to use, but usually when it comes to bushes, once one person uses it, no one else wants to use it after. And surprisingly, it looks as though the first person to actually use the bush is no one else but me, myself, and I. Yeah, how rude. I'm not even in the competition, yet I'm gonna go ahead and, ruin this bush for everyone else. Oopsie. And before Rashida can even grab anyone else's plates to wash, Vanessa snatches them on up and begins to wash those as well. Why she's so determined to clean everyone else's plate, I'm not too sure. And while this competition is going on, let me take some time to address some controversy with this season. Now, have I been screwing up Mark's vote? Yeah, I kinda have. Don't really know why specifically him that it keeps happening to. I'm not exactly sure. Am I doing it on purpose? No, not at all. Ideally, I would have this be a totally fair and simple game. I don't script any of it. I don't plan on anyone winning certain challenges. I don't plan on anyone winning the season overall. I don't want to give advantages to anyone. However, am I making a 30 episode plus season? Yeah. And do I get a little mixed up here and there? I do. And I have to apologize for that. Now, when it comes to most of the votes, even though I have messed up Mark's vote, it would have still come down to the same thing. In the last one, had there been a tie, the tiebreaker would have still probably sent Dina home. So I'm not too fussed about it, but I get how that could be annoying. And if you're annoyed at me, that's totally fine. You can go ahead, scroll down a little bit, and leave me a mean, spiteful hate comment if you so wish. We see that Kaori is the first one to pee herself, shocker, and now everyone else has to sit with her stinky self. It looks as though Nox has decided to sit a little bit away. You know, it's easier to eat when you're not having to smell fresh piss all over someone.
Oh, yum day!
But again, do I have mods installed so I can see the relationships of everyone? Yes, I do. I can just right click on any of these house guests and see it in numerical form, and then you can see who actually is greater and less than. That isn't the problem. No need to suggest mods for me. I am just stupid, and that I can't really fix. So, apologies once again. And even though everyone is struggling to hold in their bladder, no one else has managed to pee themselves, which is kind of a shocker. I definitely expected everyone to go ahead and do that quite a bit ago. Alright, and as Rashida actually cleans her own plate this time, everyone else has followed Nox to the other table and is going through with another plate. I knew that this challenge would be pretty difficult, however, I didn't see it being such an endurance competition. I think this might be the longest competition we've had so far. And Rashida is the first house guest to take a break from the competition and visit the neighboring bush. I'm surprised that she didn't just, spend 5 minutes peeing herself instead of walking to the edge of the competition to pee in this used bush. But, to each their own. Nox takes the lead by grabbing another plate, and I like that wherever I move to around this competition area, everyone seems to follow me. I took a seat over here by these logs, and now everyone wants to sit beside Sim's hot dogs. And I did like to see Nox playing with his garbage in between meals. I do think, Nox is obviously killing the competition, but thank God we're not having a dumpster diving competition, because I think we all know who would win. And while Kaori sits and smells by herself, she won't be the only smelly one for long. We see Vanessa tries to join her, and then she ends up just joining her smelly club by taking a few steps back and pissing in front of everyone else. But she's not the only one. As soon as Nox finishes up his meal, he also joins her in a pee break right in front of everyone. So now we have 3 smelly guests, and the only one to actually use the bush was Rashida. And if one of you smart beanie weenies can tally how many times the Sims have peed themselves this series, I would love to know. I feel like that would be a great tiebreaker question in this Big Brother competition. Like, if it ever came down to it, it's like, guess how many times someone has peed themselves, because it has to be a pretty high number. Like, I'm guessing in the 40s at this point. And Vanessa once again gathers everyone's dishes and cleans them herself. I think it's safe to say that Vanessa is not winning this competition because she's putting everyone else in the lead ahead of her. However, with her help, Nox only has to wash his dish that he has now, and with that, Nox has officially won this Power of Veto competition. Congratulations, Nox. I don't think anyone is surprised by this. Now, before we head straight into the Power of Veto ceremony, I am going to be a nice dictator and let everyone chill out for a bit, take a shower, clean themselves off, get some rest, before we have to see how that Power of Veto is going to be used. And I gotta say, if I was the other house guests that were waiting in the house to find out what happened, I would be pretty pleased to know that I didn't take part in this competition. Oh, And it looks as though we got a little Mark butt action. I thought I had the streamer mod on. I guess not. Hopefully I don't get in trouble with YouTube. Oopsie. I think it's funny that the house guests inside the house are actually hungry. We saw Angela complaining, and now we see Bob cooking food. I feel like if I was one of the pea-soaked contestants of The Power of Veto, walking by seeing other people eating would just make me sick to my stomach. Meanwhile, upstairs, Kaori has the nice private HOH shower to wash off in and relax. Thankfully, she doesn't have to wait in line like everyone else. Meanwhile, downstairs, Knox is actually having to fix the showers before he's able to hop into them. Outside in the garden, Angela and Johnny enjoy a nice alcoholic beverage together and are just hanging out and relaxing, not really having any stress on their shoulders. Meanwhile, Vanessa tries to do some laundry, but just takes the clean clothes and sticks them right on the floor. Great to see. I don't know why the laundry is so hard to do in The Sims 4. Same with dusting. I feel like both of those need a little bit of a revamp. They're both pretty hard to maintain. But with that, as the day comes to an end, we're going to fast forward a little bit to the next day and go straight to the POV ceremony. Alright, as we know, Kaori is the head of household, and she nominated Johnny and Knox. However, Knox has just won the Power of Veto, and I think we can all guess who he's going to use it on. Himself. Duh. So, Knox is going to use that Power of Veto and take himself off the block, which now means that there is one seat open and Kaori has to name a replacement nominee. How I've managed to only mess up Mark's vote and no one else's and none of the other nominees, I'm not too sure. But let's go ahead and look at Kaori's relationship statuses and figure out who she's going to put on the block next to Johnny. And Kaori has chosen Mark. Unfortunately for you, Mark, you now sit beside Johnny and one of you will be going home at the end of the episode. I personally feel like this is kind of the best HOH so far, and these would be the nominees I would go after. Would I necessarily want to go after Johnny? No, not really. He's not really close to anyone. However, both Knox and Mark have been making great relationships with a lot of the house guests, especially the guys, and both of them have been winning a lot of competitions. So sadly, she was not able to get out the comp beast Knox. Maybe she should have backdoored him, but will she be able to get out Mark? Or will the returnee Johnny be sent home? I'm pretty curious. Let me know all your thoughts down below. I am going to let the house guests kind of sit around and hang out, see if the two nominees are able to build any more relationships with anyone, especially Johnny. He needs to start bonding as quick as possible if he doesn't want to get voted out later. And as all the house guests scatter around the house, the two nominees head upstairs to the have-not room to claim their beds. And unfortunately, as they head up there, they both discover that they are indeed squeamish, which isn't the greatest to realize once you're heading into a room full of radioactive rats. And obviously this is not an ideal situation for either of them. However, they both try to have fun in the have-not room by starting a pillow fight with one another, very much giving Vanessa and Joaquin a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, downstairs in the bathroom gym area, we see that Bob is back on that treadmill. Has he gotten any less clumsy? No. But he is slowly getting more and more fit. However, we know that sequestering yourself in the gym is not a good look, as that's what sent Dina home last week. Is Bob going to make that same mistake? Meanwhile, in the living room, a small group is beginning to form on the couches. First, we see Akira and Nox bonding and having a conversation as they are soon joined by Rashida as well. Mark sort of tries to overhear what's going on, but he doesn't seem to be in the best mood considering he just got backdoored and he is now a have-not.
Can Kubu Koiba?
Wo doyum.
Oh, yibs.
Yeah, fruit.
Zoe rudely interrupts me observing this conversation by discovering that she dislikes fitness, and I love this interaction. I love seeing her change to her workout clothes, sit down on the workout machine for 1 second, and immediately get up, change her clothes, and feels a whole lot better about herself. Meanwhile, behind her though, we see that Johnny is taking some time out on the punching bag, but he really doesn't need to be doing that. What he needs to be doing is starting to have conversations with everyone else. I don't know, a lot of people are making this mistake with the gym. Is it really benefiting them since we haven't really seen Bob or Johnny or even Dino win competitions even though they were so high in the athletic scale? If anything, it's just a distraction and going to lower relationships with everyone else. Zoe heads upstairs to join Kaori at the bar, which is completely filthy. Kaori has been making drinks non-stop up there, however has not been taking any time to actually wipe down the counter. How you can enjoy a drink while sitting at that bar, I'm not too sure. However, as soon as Angela comes upstairs to join the party, Zoe immediately gets up and leaves. Is there tension brewing between the two of them? Zoe takes this time to head over to the pool and relax, while Johnny heads inside as well, hopefully to start talking to people. Kaori quickly leaves Angela behind as well. I feel like no one really gets along with Angela too well. Is she starting fights or anything like Kaori is? No. But for some reason, no one's really clicking with her. No one really has conversations with her very long. And instead, Kaori decides to go upstairs and play chess by herself. Meanwhile, just below in the living room, Nox is still holding court on the couches, this time having a conversation with Mark. And I really do feel like these two are the threat to win the season so far. Both of them have pretty good relationships with everyone, both of them can win competitions. As long as Mark survives this elimination, I feel like both of them are getting closer and closer to the finale every episode. What's your opinion on these two powerhouses? Are you rooting for Nox? Do you like that he's winning all the competitions? Or do you want to see someone finally take him down and out of the game for good? Or do you think that's even possible at this point in the game? Let me know all of your opinions down below in the comments. And of course, while I'm at it, I guess I'll remind you to subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that stupid YouTube stuff, because it actually does help me out, not in terms of making money, because none of these videos are monetized yet, but it does help me out mentally and feel good about myself. So if you want to do that, if you want to help me out mentally, go ahead and do all that stuff. And if not, you're just a horrible person. Duh. Meanwhile, Nox has left the living room for once and has headed straight towards Johnny. He's really having one-on-ones with basically the whole house today and really securing his relationships. And now he's talking to both nominees and trying to decide which one he's going to vote for. And even though I love this house and it is the proper Big Brother US layout and everything, I do think it's a little bit too big as everyone is so spread apart and no one really hangs out with anyone. We see Bob is back in the gym, however this time outside, while Mark upstairs is enjoying a game of darts, again by himself. However, by the hammock, we do see a conversation taking place between Rashida and Vanessa. And I love when people use this hammock. It's so Big Brother and it is custom content, but for some reason hardly anyone actually uses it, so when they do I'm like, ooh, get a few shots of them on the hammock, because it's just, it's so Big Brother. Meanwhile, upstairs, it looks as though Kaori has finished up her solo game of chess and heads into the HOH room. But she isn't alone. Her kind of lover, Rashida, has joined her in the HOH room, and the two of them flirt a little bit and watch television. I usually keep the HOH room locked for whoever is just the HOH. It's just them allowed in here, but I do enjoy unlocking it sometimes. I don't want it always unlocked because then people will just be using the bathroom and the bed and stuff like that when they don't deserve it. But we do see that Knox has also come to join the two girls. Not really a big surprise. He's been going around the house, having his one-on-ones, and this time he's wanting to have it with the HOH themselves now that he's off the block. But the two of the girls can't help flirting with each other, even if it's in front of Knox. And apart from winning all the competitions, I do have to give more kudos to Knox for having these private conversations. A lot of the Sims that keep ending up on the block just aren't having them. They'd rather, do a solo activity, be in the arcade, be in the gym. There is a lot of distractions in the house, but with so many Sims in there as well, you'd think they would take more time to actually socialize. But I think Knox ends up realizing that he's not that welcome in the HOH room. He's kind of clit blocking, if you will. And he decides to get up and leave and have the two girls have some more alone time. Meanwhile, again, downstairs, I go to check in on Bob, and what's the guy doing? Oh, he's having his third workout session in a row. He had some on the treadmill, and then he went outside and lifted some weights, and now he's relaxing and doing some yoga over a pile of dirty laundry, which is really beginning to pile up around the house, and Sims Hot Dogs is not too happy about it. And while Mark heads upstairs and tries to get some rest in the have-not room, his fellow nominee, Johnny, is taking some time out, again, alone, to play games in the arcade. Meanwhile, in the HOH room, Rashida and Kaori are still hanging out, and Rashida is taking this time to enjoy some of the perks of the HOH room while she still can, and is making some food in the microwave. However, after that Power of Veto competition, I'm not sure how any of those 6 are still hungry. However, it seems as though maybe she cooked those things for a little bit too long. I'm not exactly sure what they even are because all the food looks like shit in The Sims 4. But I love how they're stuck to the plate no matter how she holds it. But this is where things get a little freaky deaky. Okay, so Kaori puts on some romantic X-rated movies on the HOH TV screen and pulls a total Vanessa by stripping down and enjoying herself right beside Rashida. But Rashida does notice and surprisingly doesn't really like it. I'm having to censor this because again, my streaming mod isn't really working the way it usually does, so we're getting a bit more action than I think I'm allowed to really post. Soon, Kaori does turn it off, and she is not very happy with how things are going. I'm not too sure if she's annoyed that Rashida won't leave the room and give her some privacy, or if she's just mad that Rashida won't join in on the fun. And even though Rashida doesn't even seem to be all that angry, Kaori is fuming. She is so mad at Rashida and just everyone around her, and I'm not exactly sure why. She does eventually get up and get some clothes back on and starts a complete full-on fight with Rashida. it looks as though these two lovebirds are not going to be lovebirds for very much longer. Eventually, the two of them actually get up and start a full-on fist fight in the HOH room. And Rashida seems to win the fight for now. And thankfully, they've already done the power of veto, because we know that if that were to take place after this, I have a feeling that Rashida would have been the new replacement nominee and not Mark. However, Big Brother does decide to call Kaori down to the diary room to cool her off, get some anger off of her so she's not going to go ahead and keep attacking Rashida or any of her other house guests. And we're also going to give Kaori a warning, a formal warning. She does get 3 formal warnings before we kick her out. However, in the normal Big Brother, if this incident were to take place, she would immediately be out of the game. However, since we're so close to the end and we've already kind of allowed fun fighting to take place, I'm going to keep her in here and just have this be a warning for now. But what do you think? Do you think I'm making the wrong decision here? Do you think I should have kicked Kaori out? Or do you like the fighting? On the challenge, I had a no violence rule where if anyone fought, they were immediately kicked out of the game, and that was for like realistic purposes. However, I kind of like the fighting. I kind of like the drama. So I don't really want to punish her for having drama, but I'm not too sure. Let me know what you think down below. But after that confrontation, we're going to go ahead and move on to the eviction. So, house guests, you've all gathered here and you know what's about to take place. Kaori has nominated Mark and Johnny, and in just a moment, your fellow house guest will vote for who they want to see evicted. Neither nominees are allowed to vote, and Kaori as the HOH cannot vote either, and with there being an odd number, there is no chance of a tie. So with that, Knox, you are first up to vote. Let's go ahead and head into the diary room and check out your relationship statuses and figure out who you are going to vote for. And hopefully, I get it right this time. Now, this one was very close, but ultimately, Knox has decided to vote for Johnny to be evicted, and Bob is up next. And Bob sends another vote Johnny's way, putting him in the lead with 2 points. Next up to vote is Angela. And Angela barely has relationships with anyone. However, when you do click and figure everything out, it seems as though she has less of a relationship with Johnny and sends a 3rd vote his way. And drunken Vanessa is next up to vote. And this week you only need 4 votes to be evicted, and Vanessa has cast that final stone. So Johnny will be leaving the house tonight, but let's see where the other 3 votes lie as Akira heads to the diary room. And even though Johnny will be going home, he will not be going home unanimously as Akira has voted for Mark. Next up to vote is Zoe, who also seems to be a bit drunk. Having hooked up with one of the nominees, it's pretty obvious who she's going to vote for, and Johnny receives his 5th vote. Will he get another from Rashida? Let's find out as she heads to the diary room. And Rashida does send Johnny another vote. So close to a unanimous vote, but not quite. Let's go ahead and reveal to the house guests the results. Alright, house guests, the votes are in, and when I reveal the name of the house guest, that house guest must immediately leave the house. And with a vote of 6-1, Johnny, you have been eliminated. Please leave the Big Brother house.
Parfase schwoz. Teeps parfase horib.
Oh.
Febine macanerf. Jabini nobe.
Webis.
Flozit.
Sturka.
Bushlana me.
Enkel nifwa. Bekinoy shuna.
Yibs.
Ah.
Alright, and even though Johnny battled his way back into the house and he was able to survive for a little bit, it wasn't very long, and instead he will be heading back home. But of course, like always, you can download Johnny over on the gallery at Sims Hot Dogs and continue his story. You can also download this house or the empty shell and make your own Big Brother house and see if he does better that time around. And with that, that ends our double eviction week. Come back on Sunday when we start a whole new week with a whole new twist and all kinds of excitement. I'll see you guys then. Bye.